Have you ever woken up to a house so still that you can hear the ticking of the clock, the hum of the refrigerator, the soft creak of the floorboards under your own weight? It's a strange thing, silence. At first, it can feel overwhelming, like an emptiness pressing in. But over time, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a companion, a presence rather than an absence. Before we continue, friends, I kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel. It only takes a second for you, but for me, it's an extra motivation to keep creating videos. I'd also really appreciate a comment. Thank you for your support, and now, let's continue with the story. Living alone in old age is a path no one really prepares for. Maybe your spouse passed away. Maybe your children moved across the country. Or maybe life just unfolded in a way you never expected. Whatever the reason, here you are. And here, in this space that belongs entirely to you, life begins to take on a new rhythm, one that is slower, more deliberate, filled with small moments that mean more than they ever did before. Take Margaret, for example. She's 72 and has lived alone for nearly a decade now. Every morning, she wakes up at the same time, not because anyone is expecting her, but because she likes the way the morning light spills across her kitchen table at exactly 7:15. She makes herself a cup of coffee, 1 scoop of grounds, a pinch of cinnamon, a splash of cream. She sits by the window, watching the neighborhood come to life, the joggers passing by, the school bus stopping down the street. It's a small moment, but it's hers. A ritual that grounds her, reminds her that this life, her life, is still unfolding, even if the pace has changed. But there are other moments, too, the ones that catch you off guard. Like when you laugh at something on TV and turn your head, expecting to share the moment with someone, but no one is there. Or when you hear a noise in the house at night and realize there's no one to whisper, "Did you hear that?" Those are the moments when loneliness creeps in, when you reach for a phone just to remind yourself that someone, somewhere, still thinks of you. And yet, there's an unexpected kind of freedom in this solitude. No one is there to question why you rearrange the furniture for the 3rd time this month. No one minds if you stay up late reading a book or eat breakfast for dinner. You learn to cherish the smallest pleasures, watching birds gather on your porch, hearing your favorite song come on the radio, feeling the warmth of a well-worn blanket on a chilly evening. Living alone also means becoming your own caretaker in a way you never had it before. James, 78, learned this the hard way after a nasty fall in the bathroom left him lying on the tile floor for nearly an hour before he managed to crawl to the phone. Now, he keeps his cell phone in his pocket at all times, and he's careful about every step he takes. He takes his medication with a little notebook by his side, checking off each dose, because there's no one there to remind him if he forgets. But it's not just about safety, it's about staying well. It's about cooking meals, even when there's no one else at the table. It's about making sure you get outside, even if it's just to sit on the porch and feel the breeze on your skin. It's about listening to your body, paying attention to the aches that weren't there before, making choices that let you keep your independence just a little bit longer. And then, of course, there's the talking. It starts small, a simple, "where'd I put my glasses?" But soon, full conversations unfold. You tell a story out loud just to hear it again, to keep it from fading into the past. You say goodnight to the photographs on your nightstand. And maybe, just maybe, you find comfort in the sound of your own voice. Living alone in old age isn't just about being alone. It's about learning to be with yourself. It's about rediscovering who you are when no one else is watching. And maybe, just maybe, it's about realizing that solitude doesn't have to mean loneliness. It can also mean peace. But what if the secret to embracing this new life lies in the simplest of actions? Let's explore this next. There's a moment, often in the quiet of an afternoon or just before bed, when it truly sinks in. You are alone, not in a sad or dramatic way, but in the simple, undeniable truth of it. There's no one in the next room. No footsteps down the hall. No voice calling out to ask what's for dinner. At first, it's just a fact. Then, over time, it becomes a presence in itself, shaping the way you move through your days, changing the way you see the world around you. When you live alone, the smallest details become significant. It's not just about routine. It's about making choices that keep life steady, predictable, safe. You start leaving lights on in the hallway at night. Not because you're afraid of the dark, but because a stumble in the middle of the night has consequences when there's no one there to catch you. You learn to check expiration dates more carefully. Because if something makes you sick, there's no one to notice until you do something about it yourself. You think twice before carrying something heavy, before climbing on a chair to reach a high shelf, before ignoring a cough that lingers just a little too long. For Helen, 76, the biggest adjustment wasn't the quiet. It was a realization that every decision, every task, was now hers alone. It hit me the first time I got sick, she says. I had the flu, and I kept thinking, who's going to bring me soup? Who's going to check my temperature? That first night, she didn't sleep much. She kept a glass of water beside her bed, her phone within arm's reach, just in case. It wasn't the sickness that scared me. It was the idea that if something went wrong, no one would know. That's the part of living alone that people don't talk about enough. The vulnerability, the way small things, an upset stomach, a dizzy spell, an icy sidewalk, can suddenly feel like risks you never considered before. Some people adapt quickly, setting up emergency contacts, getting medical alert devices, making plans for just in case. Others, like Helen, take longer to accept it. I didn't want to think of myself as someone who needed a backup plan, she admits. But I learned that being careful isn't about being weak. It's about being smart. And then there's Thomas, 80, who has never been one to sit still. His whole life, he was the one people relied on, the one who shoveled the driveway before anyone else woke up, the one who carried the heavy groceries, the one who fixed things when they broke. Now, he finds himself asking a different question. What happens when I'm the one who needs help? The first time he had to hire someone to fix his leaking sink, it stung. I used to be the guy who handled everything, he says. Now I have to remind myself, it's okay to ask for help. But that's easier said than done. Living alone teaches you a kind of pride, one that comes from knowing you can still take care of yourself, still manage, still make it through each day on your own terms. But it also teaches humility. The first time you need to call a neighbor to help change a light bulb or ask a friend to drive you to a doctor's appointment, it's uncomfortable. But slowly, you learn that needing help doesn't take away your independence. It just means you're human. And then there's the unexpected joy of it all. The quiet moments when you realize that, despite everything, you're okay. That there's freedom in setting your own pace, in choosing what to do with your days. That the house, once so full of memories, is still yours. And that even in the solitude, life continues, not smaller, not less meaningful, just different. But what if the secret to truly embracing this new chapter isn't just about learning to manage? What if it's about finding ways to stay connected, even when you live alone? Let's explore that next. Independence is a tricky thing. When you're young, it's a goal, a symbol of success, of self-sufficiency, of proving to the world and yourself that you can stand on your own. But when you're older, independence isn't just a choice. It's a responsibility. Every decision, every task, every unexpected challenge falls squarely on your shoulders. And while that can feel empowering, it can also feel exhausting. Living alone means becoming the sole problem solver of your own life. It means fixing the leaky faucet, making financial decisions, figuring out who to call when something goes wrong. There's no second opinion, no extra set of hands, no one to take over when you just don't have energy. And yet, for so many older adults, this self-reliance is something they fiercely protect, not out of stubbornness, but out of pride. Robert, 74, has always taken care of himself. He worked hard, saved diligently, and never wanted to be a burden on anyone. Now, in his retirement, he still makes sure every bill is paid on time, every checkbook balanced. But lately, he's found himself hesitating before making big purchases. The water heater needs replacing, but what if an unexpected hospital bill comes up? His car is running fine for now, but should he start thinking about a replacement? He could ask his children for advice, but he doesn't want to worry them. Or worse, hear them say, "Dad, maybe you should let us handle this for you." Because that's the hardest part growing older. Not the decisions themselves, but the creeping fear that one day someone else will start making them for you. For Carol, 79, the realization came in a different way. She prides herself on keeping things organized, carefully planned grocery lists, home maintenance checkups, a schedule for everything. It makes her feel in control, like she's running her own life exactly the way she wants. But when her car wouldn't start one morning, something inside her shifted. She knew she could call a mechanic, arrange for a tow, figure it out. But she also knew that, once upon a time, she wouldn't have had to. Her husband would have handled it. There was a quiet sadness in that thought, not just in missing him, but in realizing that the life she had once known, where challenges were shared, no longer existed. Still, she handled it. And when the car was finally fixed, she felt something unexpected, not frustration, but pride, because she had figured it out. And that's what people don't always understand about independence at this stage in life. It's not just about the ability to do things on your own, but about the confidence it gives you, the reassurance that you're still capable, still strong, still the person you've always been, even if life looks different now. But independence isn't just about managing responsibilities. It's about adjusting to the ways your body changes, too. It's the quiet calculation before stepping into the shower, making sure the floor isn't too wet. It's taking an extra second before standing up, making sure you won't get lightheaded. It's choosing the shorter route home from the store, not because you can't walk the extra block, but because you'd rather not risk pushing too far. And yet, even in these adjustments, there's something powerful. Because every time you solve a problem, every time you handle a situation on your own, you're proving something, not to anyone else, but to yourself, that you're still capable, that your life is still yours, and that, no matter what, you are still the one in charge of how you live it. But what if true independence isn't about doing everything alone? What if it's also about knowing when to accept help on your terms? Let's talk about that next. Loneliness doesn't always come in an empty house or a quiet evening spent alone. Sometimes it's in the moments you least expect. The family gathering where you feel like an outsider. The phone call that doesn't come when you need it most. The realization that people you once spoke to daily have slowly drifted into the background of your life. Living alone in old age doesn't just change your routine. It changes the way you see relationships. It forces you to look at the people in your life with new eyes. Some connections grow stronger, while others fade, not out of neglect, but simply because time pulls people in different directions. You learn that relationships aren't always about frequency. They're about presence. Some people check in once a week but feel distant, while others may only call occasionally but make you feel like no time has passed at all. Gloria, 81, has always been the kind of person who nurtured relationships. She sent birthday cards without fail, called her children regularly, and made sure her friends knew they were important. But as the years went on, she started to notice something. If she didn't reach out first, the phone often stayed silent. It wasn't that her children didn't love her, or that her friends had forgotten about her, but life had moved forward for them. She used to feel hurt by it, wondering if she had become less important. But over time, she shifted her thinking. Now, instead of waiting for calls, she reaches out when she wants to talk. Instead of feeling sad about the distance, she focuses on the people who show up, even in small ways. I had to stop counting how often people called and start paying attention to how they made me feel when they did. She says, for Ray, 77, friendship was always easy until it wasn't. In his younger years, there was always someone to meet for coffee, always a neighbor stopping by, always a reason to get out of the house. But retirement changed things. Friends move away, some passed on, and suddenly, making new connections felt like a challenge he never expected. He spent a long time feeling disconnected, assuming that if people weren't reaching out, they weren't interested. Then one day, he decided to do something different. He signed up for a community walking group, not because he needed the exercise, but because he needed the company. At first, it felt strange, making small talk with strangers. But as the weeks passed, those strangers became familiar faces, and familiar faces became friends. I realized I had been waiting for someone to pull me back into the world, he says, but sometimes you have to step into it yourself. And then there are the relationships that exist only in memory. When you live alone, the past becomes a quiet companion, filling the spaces where conversation once was. It's not just about remembering. It's about reliving revisiting the moments that shaped you. Gloria still talks to her late husband sometimes, whispering his name when she sees something that would have made him laugh. Ray finds himself replaying old conversations with his best friend, the kind that never really leave you. These memories are not ghosts or shadows. They are proof that love, friendship, and connection don't end when people are no longer physically there. They live on in the way we remember, in the way we carry their voices with us. But relationships are not just about the past. They are about choice. The choice to nurture the connections that matter, to reach out instead of waiting, to let go of what no longer serves you. And perhaps, most importantly, to remind yourself that even when you live alone, you are not truly alone. But what if the key to feeling fulfilled isn't just about maintaining relationships with others? What if it's also about maintaining the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself? Let's explore that next. Living alone in old age is not just about managing routines. It's about discovering what makes life truly fulfilling, even in the quiet moments. It's about redefining purpose, not in terms of what others need from you, but in terms of what brings you happiness. The beauty of this stage of life is that, for the first time in a long time, you get to decide exactly what that means. Evelyn, 82, never thought much about purpose after retirement. For years, she had defined herself by the roles she played: wife, mother, caretaker. But when those roles shifted, she found herself asking a question she never had before. What do I do now? The house was silent. The days stretched long, and she had no clear answer. Then one morning, she woke up with a simple thought: I want to create something just for me. She found an old sewing kit tucked away in a drawer, untouched for years. At first, she hesitated. What was the point? But as she threaded the needle, something changed. Stitch by stitch, she felt a sense of calm, of focus, of purpose. It wasn't about making something useful. It was about the act itself, about proving that creation, in any form, is still possible. Finding meaning doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the simplest things. Choosing a book you've always meant to read, learning the name of the birds that visit your yard, listening to music that brings back memories, and letting yourself feel them fully. It's in tending a small garden, even if it's just a few potted plants on the windowsill. It's in writing down old stories, not because anyone asked, but because they deserve to be remembered. It's in deciding that each day deserves a moment of joy, no matter how small. For many, fulfillment comes from connection, not always with people, but with the world around them. Some find solace in early morning walks, watching the sunrise paint the sky. Others find comfort in routines that give structure to their days, from brewing the perfect cup of coffee to feeding the neighborhood stray cat. The key is not in what you do, but in how you choose to do it, with intention, with appreciation, with a quiet acknowledgement that these moments, however ordinary, matter. There will always be days when loneliness knocks at the door, when the house feels too quiet, when memories feel closer than the present. But even in those moments, there's an opportunity to reach out, to try something new, to remind yourself that life is still unfolding, that your story is still being written. Because living alone doesn't mean living without. It means living with the choices you make, the joys you cultivate, the meaning you discover. So the question is, how will you choose to fill your days? What small thing will you do, just for yourself? Whatever it is, embrace it. Because no matter your age, it's never too late to find something that makes life feel full. If this speaks to you, share your thoughts in the comments. What's something small that brings meaning to your day? Let's continue this conversation. And if you want more inspiration on how to embrace this chapter of life with confidence and joy, stay with us. There's so much more to explore.